We're counting down the 8 fastest declining cities in Europe, urban centers whose populations are shrinking faster than anywhere else on the continent. From southern capitals losing their youth to industrial giants hollowed out by job loss and iconic destinations transformed by over-tourism, each city reveals a different reason for dramatic decline. Which metropolis faces the steepest exodus? Let's begin the countdown with number 8. Palermo, the capital of Sicily, has lost nearly 1 in 5 residents since the turn of the millennium. Between 2000 and 2020, official figures show a 17% drop in the city's population. Low birth rates are at the heart of this decline. In 2020, Palermo's fertility rate stood at just 1.23 children per woman, well below the level needed to replace the population. At the same time, youth unemployment soared, rising by 14 percentage points from 2008 to 2014. For many young people, the promise of steady work and better wages lies elsewhere, leading thousands of graduates and skilled workers to leave each year. On the streets of Palermo, shopkeepers speak of shrinking crowds and empty storefronts. Family-run bakeries that once served generations now struggle to find apprentices willing to stay. The city's decline is not just a matter of numbers, but of lost futures and fading traditions. Lodz, once the heart of Poland's textile industry, now stands as a stark example of post-industrial decline in Central Europe. Between 2000 and 2020, the city's population shrank by 18%, according to the Central Statistical Office. The collapse of manufacturing hit especially hard. Textile jobs fell by 65% over 2 decades, leaving entire districts dotted with shuttered factories and vacant lots. As younger workers moved west in search of better pay and stability, the city's median age climbed by 7 years. On Piotrkowska Street, what was once a bustling commercial artery now features faded storefronts and the echo of lost livelihoods. For many older residents, memories of full workshops and lively neighborhoods contrast sharply with today's empty mills and the steady departure of friends and family. Lodz's story is not just about numbers, but about the unraveling of a way of life built on generations of factory work. Barcelona lost 9% of its city proper residents between 2010 and 2023, according to Spain's National Statistics Institute. The city's old neighborhoods have emptied out, not because of factory closures or falling birth rates, but because housing has become unaffordable for locals. Over the same period, the number of tourist apartments grew by 260%, transforming entire blocks into short-term rentals. Rents climbed by nearly half, up 48% on the city's official index, pushing out families and young people. For many, the only option is to move to the outskirts or leave the city altogether. On Carrer de la Princesa, a lifelong resident remembers neighbors replaced by rolling suitcases and key boxes. The city's attempt to cap short-term rentals has slowed the trend but has not reversed it. While the greater Barcelona area remains stable, the heart of the city is hollowing out, shaped less by natural decline than by the relentless pull of tourism and rising costs. Genoa, once the powerhouse of Italy's northern coast, has lost over 12% of its population since 2000. The city's fortunes were long tied to its port, but as global shipping shifted and heavy industry faded, nearly half the port's jobs disappeared. Between 2000 and 2020, port employment fell by 45%, erasing thousands of stable positions that had anchored entire neighborhoods. The decline was not just gradual. In August 2018, the collapse of the Morandi Bridge sent shockwaves through Genoa's economy. Freight traffic through the port dropped by 30% in the months that followed, as the city's main artery was suddenly severed. Factories and warehouses struggled with delays and higher costs, and some businesses never recovered. On Via Filac, shop owners remember the silence after the disaster, a city cut in two, with workers and goods stranded on either side. For Genoa, the slow erosion of industry collided with a sudden disaster, leaving scars that go beyond numbers on a chart. Sofia, Bulgaria's capital, has seen its population fall by 13% since 2000. Behind the city's shrinking numbers lies a powerful combination, more deaths than births, and a steady outflow of young adults. According to Bulgaria's National Statistical Institute, Sofia's natural population change stands at minus 6.8 per thousand, one of the sharpest declines in Europe. Each year, deaths outnumber births, and the gap keeps widening as the population ages. Nearly 3/4 of those who leave Sofia are between 20 and 39 years old, taking their skills and future families with them to Western Europe or beyond. The city's universities still attract students, but most do not stay after graduation. Neighborhoods that once echoed with children now face school closures and empty playgrounds. A municipal analyst describes the pattern as a demographic trap. Too few young people to reverse the trend. Too many leaving for opportunities elsewhere. In Sofia, natural decline and emigration have become inseparable, making recovery a distant prospect. Naples stands apart from other shrinking cities, not because of the steepness of its decline, but because of its sheer scale. Between 2000 and 2020, the city lost more than 200,000 residents, an 11% drop that translates into entire neighborhoods emptied out. ISTAT data reveals that this loss is not just a percentage on a chart. It is a transformation measured in the silence of once busy streets and the shuttered doors of local businesses. Every resident who leaves takes with them a share of the city's future, and the impact ripples through municipal finances. Over 2 decades, Naples saw municipal revenue fall by €280 for every person who left, tightening the city's budget and limiting its ability to maintain services. Migration flows have reshaped the city's fabric, with families moving to the suburbs or leaving the region altogether. For a city of Naples' size, even a modest percentage loss means upheaval on a massive scale, one that challenges not just local identity, but the viability of the city itself. Riga, Latvia's capital, has lost 1/4 of its population since 2000. The city's official numbers show a drop from nearly 800,000 residents to just under 600,000 in 2 decades, a decline of 25%. This collapse is driven by one of Europe's most severe cases of post-Soviet brain drain. After Latvia joined the European Union in 2004, young professionals and university graduates began leaving in waves. Today, more than 40% of Latvian graduates live and work abroad, most heading to Germany, the UK, or Scandinavia, where wages can be 2 or 3 times higher. Riga's age pyramid has shifted sharply upward. The share of residents over 65 has doubled, while the number of children in city schools has fallen by half. Natural population change is deep in the red, with deaths outnumbering births by 7.2 per thousand each year, the steepest rate in the EU. In response, Riga launched a returnee program offering tax breaks and business support to lure back skilled Latvians, but take-up remains limited. As one municipal analyst notes, the city is caught in a cycle. Each departure makes it harder to rebuild, and every year the city grows older, quieter, and further from the energetic hub it once was. Venice stands as the most dramatic example of a European city hollowed out by tourism. Over the past 70 years, the historic center has lost nearly 3/4 of its residents, shrinking from about 175,000 in the 1950s to fewer than 48,000 today. Each year, millions of tourists pour into the city's narrow streets and canals. On peak days, the number of visitors can outnumber locals by more than 100 to 1. The city's economy has come to depend on the steady stream of outsiders, but the consequences for daily life are unmistakable. Housing once meant for families is now overwhelmingly marketed to short-term visitors. Owners can earn in 2 weeks from tourists what a local family would pay in a month, driving a relentless conversion of apartments into vacation rentals. Rents have soared, and the cost of living has climbed beyond the reach of teachers, artisans, and young professionals. Venice's schools and grocery stores have closed in the wake of this exodus, replaced by souvenir shops and boutique hotels. Those who remain describe a city transformed, where the rhythms of daily life are set by the tides of tourism, and where neighbors are replaced by rolling suitcases and digital keypads. One lifelong resident remembers when children played in every square and neighbors gathered on the steps at night. Now, she says, the city feels more like a stage set than a home. The city council has tried to manage the influx, introducing entry fees for day trippers and debating restrictions on new short-term rentals. But the pace of resident loss continues. In Venice, the struggle is not just against the rising sea, but against becoming a city without Venetians. Across all these cities, one pattern stands out. Population decline is no longer just a rural issue, it is reshaping Europe's most iconic urban centers. The future of these cities hinges on bold adaptation. In Europe today, survival is not guaranteed by history, it is earned by reinvention. What is your take?